Hey folks, today we're going to be looking at the Beeman Raider. Talk about it a little bit first. Is basically it's one of the cheapest PCPs on the market that you can get. It's 159. Let's just call it 160 bucks, right? 160 bucks before taxes or shipping. You probably get out the door for about 180. Um, is it any good? Well, I bought the 25 cal because it's basically the cheapest 25 cal that you can get on the market, right? And um, is it any good? I think it's pretty good. Yeah, I want to say before I show you the rifle, a couple things. The bolt is quite stiff, and it's pretty easy to double feed a pellet. And so, especially if you're working with somebody who is, not experienced with air guns, may not know how to keep from double feeding it if you don't cock it back all the way. But one of the things you want to ensure is that you do cock it back all the way. One way you can tell if it's cocked is just by moving the bolt back and forth. If it's loose back and forth, then it's been cocked. But anyway, I'm going to flip the camera around, give you a quick look at what I've done with my Beeman, and then we're going to do a chrono test. So this is the rifle. Give you a wider view here. It's got a nice wood stock. There's just kind of a weird edge on it, and when I first looked at that, I was like, man, is that going to be uncomfortable to the hand? But it's not. It's actually quite comfortable. And here's a little bit of a stubby bolt. Um, yeah, uh, it's adequate, um, but it is quite difficult to cock. So it's cocked. You can tell because there's no tension on the bolt, right? Personally speaking, I don't think that they should have this little notch here because you can pull it back to this notch and it's not cocked. And then if you let it go, it'll go forward under spring tension and um, it will discharge whatever's in the barrel or in the chamber. This is a Maple Custom Products single shot tray, and that gets rid of all the possible double feeding issues that you can have. Um, just put your pellet in there, slider forward, boom, you're ready to go. No possibility of double feeding. So that's what I've done with this one. You don't have to do that, but it comes with magazines, and the magazines do work. But again, you do have a good possibility of double feeding if you're not really cautious. And then I've got a buck rail line silencer on it, and it does quiet it down quite a bit. But honestly, even it's still pretty loud. And so I did put some sling mounts on it because it does not come with sling mounts. It's not easy to put a sling on it. And then this is a scope attachment that I put on, and I just used one of the shims, the plastic shims, to make it fit. And I did have a bipod on it, but I kind of felt like the rifle's nice and light, and I never did use the bipod. I always end up using a tripod outside, or sometimes I use shooting bags. And then what we're going to do is we're going to, you can't really see very well, but there's a chronograph and a pellet trap. Quick tip on your pellet trap. I put old socks with bags of sand in my pellet trap, and it works great. Uh, Pellet trap weighs about 10 pounds, but it does work really good. So, going to pause for a second. Back to you real quick. Pause it for a second, and then I'm going to set up, and I'm going to be shooting 33 grain pellets, and we'll see what the chrono says. When I was testing before, and I had just about a half a fill on the tube, I was getting 726 feet per second, which boils down to about 38 foot-pounds. Pretty dang good for a real cheap little rifle, right? Especially if you can make it accurate. Now, I didn't really have very good results using the iron sights. To me, when I look at my scope, which is mounted level, and I compare the scope to the way the rear sight is, the rear sight looks like it's crooked to me, meaning not centered on the barrel. And so I didn't want to try using that, but I prefer scope anyway because my eyes aren't great, and I prefer scope or red dot. So pause you again. I'm gonna have you set up, um, looking at the chrono and the target, and then we're shooting 33 grain Apollo pellets, and then I'll switch off after I've lost some air, and we'll go to what are those things called? JTS dead centers. My favorite pellet, especially in 25. All right. So next time you see, you're going to be looking at the chrono, and we'll pull off a couple shots, and hopefully it won't take too long. I'm thinking, 3 to 5 shots, give you an idea of what power this thing's putting out. Okay, so the angle is going to look a little bit funny because I've got the camera offset, so obviously it's not in the um, shooting line and the firing line, right? And I think I'm just gonna, for the sake of um, time, I only do 3 shots. So I'm not really going for group or bullseye. I'm going for chronograph. And here goes the first shot. We are under 3,500 psi. We're really more like 3,000 psi. And I'm going for the, well, we're going for chrono. Don't worry what the target is. Okay, here we go. All right, shot number 2 coming up. I'm in meters per second. Dang it. I'm sorry, you guys. I'm going to pause you again. Sorry for this long video. Man, I thought I was in foot per second. Okay, we're back to feet per second, so sorry about that. It was reading meters at first, and that's difficult for us Americans. So this will be my first shot in feet per second, but my third shot on the cylinder. 722.5. A little slower than I was seeing last time, but that's still above 35 foot-pounds, I'd say. I don't have an air gun calculator with me, so. $725.9, call it 726, unless you're a perfectionist. Interesting thing about this chrono is it reads in tenths of feet per second. So you get a real precise reading. 726.9, you can call that 727, fairly consistent. And then this will be the last one in this video. Now that's 733.9, so obviously we're climbing. The spring inside is starting to equalize with the pressure of the air in the tube. So obviously I haven't hit the full top foot per second, but I figure that's a good example.